just near the camera there. Quite a flowery shirt.
Thank you, Sundar. Kamaljeet Jandu, GMB Trade Union. Ed, on Thursday, Manchester City Council announced 2,000 job losses. Before Christmas, many people received their redundancy notices, and certainly there's been about 150,000 job losses in the last 4 months. May the 5th, the line was drawn, the onslaught has happened, and people are paying with their livelihoods and their homes. Your vision that you've put out is fantastic, and certainly the GMB is supportive of your view. But what practical support can you give those 2,000 people that don't know where they're going to pay their rent, their mortgage, and feed their kids with? Thanks.
Thanks. Take one right down here at the front.
Hi, Steve Carter from Labour North West. One poll puts the Liberal Democrats at 7%. I believe that's the same figure for the UK of people who believe that Elvis Presley is still alive. Why would we hold out the hand of friendship to a party so discredited? When, more importantly, we should be listening to our own members that have not been listened to for such a long time.
The one just in front of you there, no, so yeah, so we'll take two more. We'll take both of those, sorry, thanks. And we'll take the one that you're about to say. Go ahead.
Ed, I'm not sure how much time we've got. I come from a small town council in Gloucestershire. We have very few district councillors, very few county councillors. We are facing slaughtering of library services, the youth services, subsidised bus services, and people are wondering, and the Tory County Council is saying, over to you, the community offer is you organise it with volunteers. We're going to put up our town council precept by 20% to try and take over some of this. We haven't got long, what offer are we making to local people suffering such cuts in May? And more broadly, what does actually localism mean to the Labour Party now?
That's a good
Hi, Jenny Gower, University of Birmingham. You talked about a wider movement. I was just wondering how important you thought it was to embrace the grassroots student movement and just the wider anti-cuts movement that's springing up at the moment.
Can't see the person who asked the question, I want to see. What is the word? There, hello. Right. Okay, so on the question, I mean, actually, some of these, in a way, three of these questions are quite similar to each other, so why don't I answer them together? Because they're all about what we do about the cuts and how we fight the cuts. The local campaigns that we run against the cuts are incredibly important, and they're an incredibly important way of standing with people. But and in a way, I'll come to the Liberal Democrats because it does relate to them. You know, us standing with people is important. Us fighting elections, and not just Aldermeys and Saddleworth, but the local elections, the Scottish elections, and the Welsh elections. The best way that we can send a signal and we can speak up for people is with the results of those elections. Because actually that is the best way to send a signal to the government and indeed the Liberal Democrats about the direction in which they are going. Now, it's incredibly frustrating that we are not in power, much more than frustrating, devastating that we are not in power and that we see these cuts going on around us. That's why I said at the beginning that all of us can see in our daily life. I see it in my own constituency, what's happening in Doncaster in terms of the library services. Somebody, I think the second question I mentioned library services, and the impact that is having. What do we have to do? We've got to fight elections because that's very, very important to say there is an alternative. We've got to show what that alternative is, that the reason why these libraries are being cut, the reason why these cuts are so devastating is because of an ideological decision, not a decision of necessity as they would claim, to make cuts as fast as they are doing. And the other thing that we have to do is, and it goes to this point about movement, is that we've got to be the people who are locally campaigning on the ground about these changes that are being made. And I think the combination of those things is what we have to do. But I don't, look, I met with Caroline Flintz and people from the local authorities who are having to implement the cuts. And it is the worst thing to have to be doing. implementing cuts directed from a Conservative-led government in Westminster. I think it's really important that we make clear these are Conservative government and Liberal Democrat cuts. They're not our cuts. These are cuts that we are being forced to implement as local councillors when we are having to do it. Let me come to the Liberal Democrats, because this is an important question. Why are we offering the hand of friendship when they are less popular than Elvis Presley believers? You know, I think it goes to this point, which is that Nick Clegg and his other hench people have taken the Liberal Democrats in a particular direction. But you know and I know that there are decent people in the Liberal Democrats who are appalled at what is happening. Now, one of the things that they can do is to join us. And that is an important thing that they can do. And I'm all in favour of people joining us, don't get me wrong. But there will be some people who will decide, actually, I've always been a Liberal Democrat. I feel I've got to fight against Nick Clegg and what he's doing to our party. And I don't think we can say to them, well, I'm sorry, we're just not interested in you. You agree with us about the direction this government's going in. You agree with us about what they're doing is terrible. But frankly, we're just not interested in talking to you. That's why I think we've got to say, look, we respect that choice as well. And that's why, you know, we've got a vote on educational maintenance allowances in Parliament on Wednesday. Actually, you know, we need Liberal Democrats to come and support us in that vote. We need Liberal Democrat members to say. So you know, that's why I say, you know, what I do. Let me just say one thing. This is the end. Sorry, obviously not to answer more questions. I just end on this point, which is my point of optimism. I think it is devastating for all of us as we see what this government is doing, and we see the damage they're doing to different parts of our communities, and we've heard questions, people have asked questions about that. I do think that we've got to hang on to this point about the progressive instincts of people, because actually, I think what Oldham does show, and I saw it myself going there, is actually a lot of people are just not taken in by their argument. We're actually starting to gain traction on this argument. The idea that it's all necessary and they've got to break their promises and all that, I mean, they are taking people for fools, frankly, the Conservative-led government, in saying, well, look, we just realised the books, we didn't realise how bad the books were going to be, that's why we've got to break all the promises we made to you at the election. So I actually think we can win this argument. 2011 has to be an incredibly important year for winning this argument. I've got to do my bit, you've got to do your bit, because elections are very, very important. And I think if we do that, we can start to create the platform we need for what we all want, which is victory in the next general election. Thank you.